right, next up, this is our new favorite feature of the webinars, is we're trying to highlight a student case study each month, because we feel that you get a lot out of knowing how people got interested in coding and their experience with CCO. And Boyd is going to be the interviewer, and Ruth is going to be the interviewee.
Hello, Ruth. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
And are you indeed in Poughkeepsie, New York today?
That's right. That's where I
Awesome.
live. It means
Awesome.
hut by the river. We're right near the Hudson River.
What would you say for to the new coders that are on the call tonight? So what are the things that you learned that you took out of the course that you use, to help pass your exam? A lot of people talk about time management, those things. What are those important things for you?
Okay. Well, I did use the Blitz videos, and I found the bubble and highlighting technique to be extremely useful because I could remember what Lorene had said on the DVDs, which I was using for the Blitz, and I could remember it just by looking at a few words in my manuals and remember what she said about it. So it was very helpful just having things in bubbles, and she would compare things and just keep that straight for me, and I would be able to remember it just looking at my books. So that was very helpful. I did uh, take some practice exams, and the one that CCO sells now is one that I took, and I also took the ones from AAPC because I figured they were writing the exam. They may have questions in the practice exams that would be similar, and I did find that to be the case. So I was glad I had done that. So as far as taking the exam, what I did was somehow I learned that there's a bunch of questions that are relatively easy. At least it would be easy for me, the anatomy and the medical terminology and some of the just coding concepts that were towards the end of the exam generally. So I flipped to those right away, and I did those because I knew I could do those fairly quickly and get them right, or I would think they'd be right. So that was very helpful.
The first question is an ICD question. At first, I thought it was maybe procedural, and I saw the title "Intraocular Lens." But the student asks, "What is the diagnosis code assignment for contraction of the anterior capsule causing the intraocular lens implant to be displaced following extraction of a cataract?" The physician uses a laser to repair the torn capsule and reposition the lens. Now, this came from, I believe, a practice exam. You can see answers A, B, C, and D. Now, the student said, "Can you explain why X," she told me what the correct one was, "is the correct choice?" So I thought it would be cool to make this a little poll. So let me try and pull up this answer sheet here. Oh, it's going to bring it over there on me. Hang on. And Boyd, if you wanted to pull up that poll, get to the questions here. So these are the answers with the definitions next to them. And Boyd will go ahead and launch that poll, and you can tell us what do you think the answer is for that. And I'll read the question again. What is the diagnosis code assignment for contraction of the anterior capsule causing the intraocular lens implant to be displaced following extraction of a cataract? And so we have answer A, B, C, D. Is the poll going? Yes, okay, I see it. All right.
And let's see if I've learned anything. I think sometimes it's easier to find out, to answer it by what it's not, right? What they may have
Yes,
learned.
process of elimination. Very good.
We got 31% voted, so still some people thinking out there. Maybe repeat the question for everybody again.
Sure. What is the diagnosis code assignment for contraction of the anterior capsule, causing the intraocular lens implant to be displaced following extraction of a cataract? So 0.69 is for infection and inflammatory reaction. I was trying to make that one word. B was for mechanical complication due to ocular lens prosthesis. C was for cataract fragments in eye following cataract surgery. And D, other specified complications of procedures. So 55% voted. Come on, guys. The iPad users have an excuse. You don't.
Okay, how much time would you be able to spend on this on your exam?
Well,
Should
you have 2 minutes.
2 minutes a question, right? This is the
What do you
average.
think it is, Boyd?
The
Take a
shortest
guess.
possible. The shortest
Take a
possible and move
guess.
on.
All right, I think we got enough people. Let's see what they said. Okay.
Looks like B was the winner here.
B is the winner. Yep. So we had A 10%, B 38, C 31, and D 21. So let's break it down to see why.
Oh, last month we had E codes, and this month we get V codes. They're very exciting. Not as much fun as E codes, which I remember somebody said they called them entertainment codes. We'll call V codes valuable codes. When you think of a V code, what you want to know, people get confused because they think, well, how do I know when I need to use a V code? And that can get very confusing. But if we go ahead and jump to the, what would they say? Patient fell at home and broke an arm, code the brake, use an E code. Well, a V code, if they had said that the person had a history of something that related to the brake or something, then you'd want to put in a V code. So if we jump to the answer.
Okay, the next question is about orthopedics, casting and strapping. Please review casting and strapping coding. I get confused as to when it is bundled and when it isn't. Okay, so I took this right from the guidelines. That's how I like to teach versus, I view textbooks and exercises as important, but I like to teach from the manuals because that's what you're taking into the board exam. So I could have made a slide and paraphrased this and done that, but I'd like to bring you right to the book because this is where you should be making your notes to jog your memory of certain key principles. So this is in the musculoskeletal system toward the end of the chapter. It's just before all of the scopes. Now, part of surgery is that all surgery codes are subject to the global package. And for me, when I was a new coder, that was a hard concept for me to get because, I'm thinking fracture care where they did not cut you open or do anything like that was still subject to a global period of 90 days usually. So, we've talked about in previous webinars, the global package, and if that's something you guys want me to review again, certainly put your question in on the forum and, we can go ahead and go into more detail. But suffice it to say for fracture care, if you're doing the one that has a 90-day global period, part of that is oftentimes going to be initial casting and strapping. That's bundled in. So the global package includes that pre-op thing. In the case of fracture care, that doesn't really apply. The service itself or the surgery itself, and then the follow-up period, which is for major surgeries is about 90 days. Some are 0 days, some are 10 days, and some of your private payers have even longer than 90 days. But your average is 90 days. So picture the patient coming in and the doctor doing something to manipulate the fracture, put it back in place or do some traction or whatever. He or she's going to code that CPT code that includes the initial casting and strapping. Where we go wrong as coders is we feel that every subsequent cast, because as you know, people normally need at least one cast change, especially if it's for a kid, before they're outside of that global period or before the cast comes off for good. Because that is not predictable. If AMA can package it, they will. But because they cannot.
Get more CPC exam tips, coding certification training, and CEU credits. go to www.codingcertification.org.